On 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. From the Jamborees to the Superdome, your source for the most up-to-date scores and stats is right here. Now, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, here's Cade Wazan, Todd Black, and Jimmy Roy.
Welcome to week 2 of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show, presented by Lake Urgent Care. Cade Wazan, Todd Black, Jimmy Roy. Producing tonight's program, we got Cassie on video, we got Ryan on audio, and we got Skip from the score desk in just a bit. A busy week already, and we just started playing some of the football games slated for week 2. A lot of games will be played in the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's go ahead and get things started with our opening drive.
Taking you through tonight's top stories. This is Opening Drive on the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show.
From the Hall of Famer Robin Fambrough at The Advocate, who cited a conversation with LHSCA Director Eric Held, as of late Thursday, 61 Week 2 football games had either been moved to new days, another site, or outright canceled by member schools. 45 changes, 16 cancelizations, 12 changes and 5 cancelizations in the Baton Rouge area alone. And as we're going through the scoreboard tonight, keep in mind, if you're watching us on YourView or the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel, each week you see that scoreboard ticker on the bottom of the screen. We're trying to indicate which games are either canceled or moved to tomorrow. There's quite a bit, so bear with us, as this has been kind of a very fluid situation as far as which games are where.
So, Cade, from the future Hall of Famer Eric Held, who I just talked to,
okay,
we will update that. Over 50 date and site changes, and then the cancellation is up from 16 to 26 now.
Wow. I hope the officials get that memo. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're not Houston. We appreciate our linemen around here.
That's right.
I know I had a lot of texts from linemen. They couldn't wait for the show to come on, from Alabama, from Mississippi to Texas. But we appreciate you guys. Got me up and running within 18 hours.
That's nice.
Hey, that's nice. Time before, it was 4 hours with Ida. But those guys are busting their butt, working, trying to do the best they can to get us back on. They got us on the air. They get football games playing. They got people able to watch us on TV at home because they got electricity. So shout out goes to those guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys from outside of the area that kind of come in, and you'll see those trucks lined up on the side of the highway. Maybe they're camped out somewhere. The
Mall of Louisiana is where they're at.
And then whenever that wind dies down below 40, they are out there ready to go, and it's amazing being in those bucket trucks.
It's one of the most impressive things. When I went to Panama City for Hurricane Michael,
yeah.
The linemen, the way their organization and the logistics of what they had to do was probably the most impressive thing I saw while I was there. It's organized, and they do an incredible job.
They work some long hours, too.
Yes. You would know this. They just can't go out and start fixing line. I mean, people think they can just go anywhere, but they've got to get their orders, right?
It's like a well-oiled machine. They send out people to start looking what areas are the worst, what transmission lines are down. They feed everything. They got to rebuild that before they can start building back power to the individual subdivision and houses, things like that. So, no, they're not just going and freelancing. It's a hell of a game plan they have.
And look,
in a short amount of time.
Yes.
While the this of course Hurricane Francine is what we're certainly referring to, while there was an idea that for a period of time the Baton Rouge area was probably going to be on the eastern side of this thing, it may have had some greater effects. Our neighbors, as it turns out, our neighbors to the southeast, down in the Bayou, New Orleans, and that area really had a stronger impact. And so that's where a lot of the games are either moved to Saturday or outright canceled. Restoring power down there, getting things back to, normal. It's always tough, but we certainly thank our folks and our friends down there who are keeping us updated on what's going on. We will try to do our best throughout the night to let you know where those things may have moved. And as far as tonight's action is concerned, not a lot of games in the Baton Rouge area. It's already scheduled to be a lot of away games here tonight. You heard on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge pair of state champions with Catholic High going to St. Thomas More. And then one of the bigger rivalries in the state, and certainly here in the Baton Rouge area, Denham Springs and Central.
Yeah, Denham Springs and Central, Mr. Robert Graves does just a fabulous job of keeping stats and things like that for Denham Springs. He's done some stuff for Live Oak. He's went back and researched at for Zachary High School to get their history a little bit more. This goes back to 1948. They haven't played in the last 2 years. It was the first time since then. It's about as even as it can get. Central winning 36 times, Denham Springs 35 times. There were 4 ties. In all those games, there's only 15 points that separate the total points scored by both teams. But tonight, it was all Central. We'll get into details with that in the next segment with Coach Semino probably. Catholic High goes to St. Thomas More, so they've opened up with Desterham, broke a 33-game win streak, which was longest in the state. Mm-hmm. Then they go to St. Thomas More, I think, which had the longest winning streak in the state now at 25 games. They get that win, and they're doing it with their defense. Their defense is really, really good. They've played in the rain, and then they go over there. It don't get any easier next week with U High and then West Monroe following. But we knew going in, after having watched them, especially at Jamboree against Madison Prep, that defense was going to have to carry them early until their offense got going. And Baylor Graves is new at quarterback. He's replacing the guy over at UL right now that was a 4-year starter. So I'm really, really anxious to watch the growth that they make between the Jamboree and week whatever they go to, 13, 14, 15. It's going to look like a totally different team.
And these two guys are in the same bracket now towards the end of the year. Yes. So as they were mentioning on the broadcast, these two teams will probably see each other again. It'll be interesting.
Defense travels, and it did tonight. But this was a 9-6 ball game at the end of the third quarter. Catholic had a 9-0 lead for a small period of time, just a one-score lead for a small period of time. And, just similar to last week where this was not ever really in a definitive spot for either team. It was down to the end.
And when you say 9-6 third quarter score for those two teams, everybody's scratching their head because both teams are well known historically.
You expect it to be 35-28 or something.
Yes,
like that.
Yes, 29-26, something like that would have been normal, but 9-6, no.
Look, you've got a lot of teams out early this year who were champions last year who look really good. Ruston, Oak Grove, Catholic, St. Thomas More. I mean, we could go
Calvary.
on.
Calvary looks good even though they lost tonight, which we'll hopefully talk to Neville's coach.
Well, they lost to the eventual 1A state champions this year. 4A or Division I champions. Yeah. And the Neville Tigers. But no, Neville took that game. That wasn't really scheduled. Neville was supposed to go down to Southside, and obviously because of the hurricane, Calvary was supposed to go.
Westgate was supposed to go to Calvary.
There we go.
And I honestly had thought, especially Southside, I thought they both jumped the gun in canceling those games. Now, and the reason I say Southside did because Neville was coming to Southside, so they didn't have to travel. They didn't have to worry about lining up buses. See, when you get into these hurricanes and evacuations, they can commandeer them buses and start using them to get people out. So, but Southside didn't have to travel, so they were fine. They didn't need the buses. They weren't coming to get Neville's buses. They would have been fine. Now, Westgate going to Calvary, I could see that because they were going to need buses, and as of Tuesday, that's where it was going. So I understand that when I thought Southside Neville jumped.
They still got PTSD over there in Lake Charles. I'm sure.
For sure. Lake Charles, there, absolutely.
But the thing with Southside though, and I think you look down at these Bayou school teams, they don't have electricity. So if that thing comes in right where they thought to, Southside might have said,
they probably wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have had electricity, and we would have been able to play. So I'm sure there's a lot of thought that goes into that, and that'd have been a good game for Southside.
You can't blame anyone for canceling it, really. But some of them were head scratchers, and just like Ascension Catholic, I think canceled their game in Lauraville, but Donaldsonville, which is right next door to them, were still scheduled to play Port Allen.
Hitting Lauraville and Morgan, like around Morgan City in that area.
New Iberia down below there, I believe.
Isn't that where it hit?
No, hit Morgan City.
Ain't that all the same place?
No, not quite. It's not far.
It's part of the tri-parish area.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, you're trying to make these decisions a little less than 72 hours away from landfall, and you have to make your best case scenario for everyone involved. Let me ask you guys this, because this is something I was thinking about in the case of Central in Denham Springs, where Central, 24 hours away from their opener, had some adversity happen with those young men in the accident. And then you come into a week like this. How is it now? The most important thing is the safety of those kids and the parents and everybody involved. But when you have a week like this where there's so much uncertainty, and maybe you got 1-2 practices in before everything was let out and everybody went their separate ways before the storm. How does that work in a given week? Because football is such a routine driven.
It is. So what happened, probably from just talking to the coaches that I've talked to this week, they practiced Monday regular. They practiced Tuesday regular. As soon as practice was over, about 5 o'clock or so, as far as I know, all the Baton Rouge, Ascension, Livingston, they shut everything down around 5, 6, 7 o'clock that afternoon. So they got in
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, they got in Monday and Tuesday's practice.
Well, I know Ascension just got in Monday.
Okay, they did.
Yeah, because they shut everything after 3 o'clock or after.
Okay,
school.
some of the schools were allowed to go to 5 o'clock or so. So some got that in. Wednesday was a no practice. Thursday was one of those optional practices. They couldn't make it mandatory, but your good programs, the kids showed up, I'm sure. And is that what Ascension Parish did down there?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what.
Don't
that's
ask
what,
me.
Now, you got to understand, back in 2005 when Katrina came through, I don't remember a hurricane interrupting a season before that. So we weren't really used to it. Ever since Katrina came through it, we've had them regular. So coaches now put that in their scheduling things back in the summer and the spring when they're making it for the fall. They're used to it now. And then honestly, COVID in 2020, it changed a lot of things as far as the way teams prepared. You remember that they were changing games in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. You look at St. Aug this week.
Coach Held calling coaches on a Thursday.
Yes,
Yeah.
Coach Held worked his butt off this week connecting schools. But you look at St. Aug, their game was canceled. They pick up Cecilia yesterday.
Right.
They're going to play tomorrow. And so like Calvary and those guys, hats off to both the Calvary and Neville, the school, the coaches, the administration for taking these games on and playing them. But I just think that teams are more used to it. And when you go to a game like that, Todd, you have to trust your fundamentals that you've worked throughout as far as like recognizing formations. You may be a little more have to play on defense. You may have to play a little more base defense instead of stunts and blitzes and calls and things that because when in walkthroughs they're starting this in the spring and then doing it all summer. When they line up in this formation, this is how we're going to line up with our base, and then you vary it from week to week. So I think you have to trust in what you've learned all season long.
I'm old enough to tell you, back in the day, the only way they communicated with us was through the paper. There wasn't no cell phones.
Right.
I mean,
No.
they would pick up the phone and try to call you, but you knew when to report because of the newspaper. So it's interesting how things have come a long ways. What happens these days, you can get
Email,
these texts,
text,
and you got all this electronics to go through. Prior to that, I don't know how they did it.
So there was games that were played tonight, and let's get you caught up on tonight's action in Week 2. We'll start first in the capital city.
The Capital City Scoreboard, presented by Investar Bank.
Dunham over Live Oak 27-10. Central over Denham Springs 31-6. Parkview defeats Prairieville 53-13. Episcopal over Northlake Christian 31-16. Liberty all over White Castle 72-26. Struma over McKinley 38-6. And St. Michael shuts out Terra 46-0.
The New Orleans Bayou Scoreboard, pumped by peak performance.
Belle Chase defeats East Jefferson 24-17. West Jefferson and Shaw are Saturday. De La Salle and Holy Cross are Saturday. Westminster Christian and St. Martin's are Saturday. Jesuit and Edie White on Saturday. St. Aug and Cecilia on Saturday, and John Ehret and Vanderbilt Catholic also moved to Saturday.
The Acadiana Scoreboard, connected by Rev.
Sulphur over Northside 34-19. Turlings Catholic 48, Sam Houston 21. Catholic High defeats St. Thomas More 18-14. Vermilion Catholic shuts out Breaux Bridge 45-0. Welsh over Oakdale 42-13. Notre Dame blanks Ville Platte 51-0. And Marksville over Church Point 30-22.
The North and Central Louisiana Scoreboard, fueled by frogs at Magnolia Beach.
Neville over Calvary 42-38. Ouachita shuts out Wasserman 25-0. Alexandria over Union Parish 41-12. Ruston all over Cabot High School in Arkansas 49-10. Mendon over Homer 39-14. Mangum blanks Richwood 28-0. And Ouachita Christian shuts out General Trask 51-0.
The North Shore Scoreboard, insured by State Farm.
Dutchtown over Ponchatoula 31-13. East Ascension defeats Salmon 38-15. Covington over Franklinton 32-21. John Curtis defeats North Shore 27-7. Hammond over Amite 33-16. And Jules Sumner defeats Kentwood 20-14.
At Louisiana Turf Cleaning, our number one priority is athlete safety. We specialize in sanitizing and general cleaning maintenance of artificial turf sports fields. From the constant wear and tear on the field to the bacteria, mold, and viruses that get under those turf fibers, we take care of it all. We also remove any unseen metal in the turf that could potentially cut an athlete. For more information, call me, Kerry Myers, to get a quote today, 504-453-6950. And let Louisiana Turf Cleaning keep your playing surface safe, 504-453-6950.
Don't have time for a stomach virus?
I don't have time to be sick today.
When you're sick after hours or weekends, you don't have time to wait around. Save time and money and feel better faster with Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Don't have time for cold or flu?
I don't have time for the cold or the flu.
We're here to help with easy, convenient online check-in.
Coach Brett Beard from Denham Springs High School, and you're listening to Louisiana Prep Scoreboard on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care. Cade Wazan, Todd Black, and Jimmy Roy as we roll into a busy week. A lot of unpredicted outcomes when it comes to games that were moved or canceled or, maybe just rescheduled. But one thing that we look forward to each and every week is a chance to enjoy some of the great food from the Baton Rouge area. We have some great partners who will feed us and feed our crew. And if I can get this photo here.
I'll tell you what, me Padres outdid themselves tonight.
I'll get Cassie to let us.
Rafat, Sarah over there taking care of us. Fajitas.
If you're watching at home, you can see the spread we had tonight. And I don't think there was anything left in me Padres after they sent this.
I'm telling you, they did us right.
So, and look, we've long had a good relationship with the team at Me Padres, multiple occasions for the 14 years we've been doing this show. It's been a hydration location. It's been a stop before, during, or after the games. And I know that they've always been good to us. We appreciate their
on the corner of Bluebonnet and Perkins, right in the same shopping centers, Buffalo Wild Wings, Rouse's, right up there on the corner. You know, they do tailgate packages. If you headed to watch the game at somebody's house tomorrow, watching LSU, give Me Padres a call. They do a great job. They're going to take care of you for a great price. And they gave us all the fixings. They gave us the salsa, the rice, the beans, the lettuce, the cheese, sour cream, pico.
Sarah's the best bartender around on Friday nights. She has a lot of regulars that come in there. I don't remember the first time I went, Todd's kids were running behind the bar like they owned their place.
Were they serving chips or eating the chips? I don't know.
Whatever. They were working and eating.
Yep, they were working. They were sitting people. They'd sit people. Rafat got them their own shirts. So, you know.
Well, shout out to Me Padres. They hit the spot tonight. Let's go ahead and get you caught up on scores, and we'll start first in the capital city.
The Capital City Scoreboard, presented by Investar Bank.
Dunham over Live Oak 27-10. Central defeats Denham Springs 31-6. Parkview over Prairieville 53-13. Walker's a 34-14 winner over Woodlawn. Episcopal defeats Northlake Christian 31-16. Liberty all over White Castle 72-26. Struma defeats McKinley 38-6. St. Michael shuts out Terra 46-0.
The New Orleans Bayou Scoreboard, pumped by Peak Performance.
Belle Chase defeats East Jefferson 24-17. West Jefferson and Shaw have been moved to Saturday. De La Salle and Holy Cross moved to Saturday. Westminster Christian and St. Martin's moved to Saturday. Jesuit and Edie White moved to Saturday. St. Aug and Cecilia moved to Saturday. And John Ehret and Vanderbilt Catholic moved to Saturday.
The Acadiana Scoreboard, connected by Rev.
Sulphur over Northside 34-19. Lafayette Christian defeats Carencro 38-21. Sterling's Catholic defeats Sam Houston 48-21. Catholic over St. Thomas More 18-14. Vermilion Catholic defeats Breaux Bridge 45-0. Welsh over Oakdale 42-13. Notre Dame blanks Ville Platte 51-0. Marksville over Church Point 30-22.
The North and Central Louisiana Scoreboard, fueled by frogs at Magnolia Beach.
Neville over Calvary 42-38. Ouachita shuts out Wassman 25-0. Oak Grove over Crossett 57-18. Alexandria defeats Union Parish 41-12. Ruston over Cabot High School in Arkansas 49-10. Mendon defeats Homer 39-14. Mangum shuts out Richwood 28-0. And Ouachita Christian blanks General Trask 51-0.
The North Shore Scoreboard, insured by State Farm.
Dutchtown over Ponchatoula 31-13. East Ascension defeats Salmon 38-15. Covington defeats Franklinton 32-21. John Curtis over North Shore 27-7. Hammond over Amite 33-16. And Joel Sumner 20. Kentwood 14.
Thank you, Skip. Getting our scores tonight. If there is a score you are looking for, you can give us a call at 225-499-1045, trying to find out if your game was moved to Saturday. We do, I think, Northeast even playing Sunday. If your game was canceled, we certainly can help you out. If you want to report a score or a situation or a change to a schedule, you can jump inside the Bayou Ford chat on the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. You can send a message on X or direct contact us via X at Louisiana Prep, or like I said, 225-499-1045 for that. We jump on the hotline now, I believe. All right, well, let's go up to the 318 area code as we've got Coach Justin Scoggins from Airline. Coach, congratulations, and thanks so much for spending a couple minutes with us here on week 2. Coach, we got you?
Yeah, I got you, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
I'm hearing ESPN radio and Joe Burrow.
Oh, well, he's in studio, but hold on. We'll tell him to be quiet. Joe, hey, zip it. All right.
Hey, y'all there now?
We got you now.
We told him to be quiet. He wanted to talk a little bit about your quarterback, so we just decided you'd talk about him instead of us.
Sounds good to me, man. I'm just glad to have him.
Coach, what kind of numbers being put up tonight?
You know, it wasn't a normal kind of night for him, to be honest. You know, they dropped 9 at times to try to stop everything we wanted to do. You know, they played inside of our receivers and they capped them over the top, and they played at safety in the middle of the field. They were dropping the defensive end with the tight end when we would drop and all that. So, you know, we really ran the ball, I think, probably for more than we threw, honestly. We threw the ball around. You know, we did what we could, but everything was kind of hard throwing the ball. But Ben did a phenomenal job. No turnovers, no interceptions. But it was a quiet night for him.
Yeah. Was that a little bit different look than he's seen in the past, I'd imagine?
Slightly different, yeah, slightly different.
I bet they see, kind of like Burrow and them did back in the 19 season, they see some exotic defenses because defensive coordinators are having to scratch their head. I mean,
very different than anything I've ever seen before.
You know, like Todd, last week Ben Taylor was 41 for 53, 490 yards and 4
But that percentage
touchdowns.
Is what, Coach. That percentage is unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's 80%.
He didn't have a bad night last Friday. Yeah. Hey, and you know the thing is, last week, you know, the wind was swirling like 20 miles an hour. So I mean, it was really hard to throw the ball. You know, we haven't just really gotten ideal conditions as far as defense and field conditions and all that. You know, tonight it was perfect, but they dropped 8 and 9 all night. And last week there was the wind and all that stuff, and he still threw for 490, 77% completion and all that. So, man, it's just kind of expected for him to, you know, we can change things on the fly, and it's really kind of fun.
Coach, how are the guys up front? Obviously, throwing it 53 times, completing 41 are pretty good. Are they an experienced group coming back for you?
Offensive linemen?
Yes, sir.
We returned 4 out of 5 this year, and we're starting a senior in that one spot that we didn't return. So, yeah, I mean, the 4 that return are really good, you know, and the center actually has been a little bit hurt, banged up once from last year. So we've been starting a junior at center, and, man, he's done really well. So, you know, Ben doesn't get hit very much. We get the ball out pretty quick. We sprint out. We do stuff like that. So, you know, they do a phenomenal job up front.
Todd, Kenny Darby last week, the receiver, had 17 catches for 315 yards. That's a season for a lot of receivers all over the state.
Ben's on his Christmas list, I promise you that.
No doubt.
Throwing it 17 times is good, or receiving it.
Coach, a question I have to ask you, though. You scored, 590-something points, I think, last year. You scored, what, 52 last week, 55 this week, but you give up a lot of points. How, as far as a coach, I know the goal is to win by 1, but like for the defensive coordinator, what's the thought process? Because used to back in the day, if you scored 40 points, you were going to win. Now, and I'm not talking about just you, it's all over the state. Are offenses that much better now than what they were several years ago, or just the game has changed? Because it's every week we're going to see 50-something to 40-something games. How do you handle that as a head coach?
Well, it's a lot of that's philosophical, because you think sometimes when we throw the ball, we go 3 and out and we throw it 3 times and 12 seconds might come off the clock. That's what people that don't really understand. Our defense is playing probably double or triple the possessions that those people were playing back in the day, because they were in the split back, or they were running wishbone and they were running it every time, and they were getting 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards and a first down, on 4th, or they'd get 4 on 1 and get a first. So, I mean, the clock was running and you had to go out there and be perfect 3 or 4 times a half, maybe 3 times. Now, we're throwing it. We might punt. And you're talking about 2 possessions in about 8 minutes, where they're tired and they're run down. So, we know going into the game that we're not going to win 10-7 usually. But, we have to make timely stops and we have to get turnovers and stuff like that. But, no, the expectation is not to hold everybody to 20. The expectation is to get enough points to beat the team, And that, like I said, it's philosophical, because you can sit around and people give us a hard time for our defense, but they don't understand that they're playing double and triple the amount of possessions that people were playing, and that's just the way we do things. I mean, it's not that we couldn't just run the ball, and we did a great job of it tonight, but that's just how we play and what we do. And we know going into it that we need to get some timely stops and some turnovers. And, like I said, that's just, maybe it's the Big 12 mentality, but, that's just what we do.
Hey, the object's to win by 1 point. Don't matter whether it's 3-0 or 55-54. Don't matter.
That's what people don't realize. If they would have scored 54, I mean, I wouldn't have been thrilled, but I'd have been happy. I'd still be in here eating cane. I told that somebody else called talked to me. We get canes when we win, and they were like, "Well, what do you get if they lose? Bologna sandwich?" I was like, "No, they don't get anything. They got to go pick something up from Whataburger with their own money."
Whataburger's not bad, I'm going to tell you.
Coach, playing in District 1 5A, it seems like you guys don't have a lot of room to breathe. You play in a 9-team district. You got to choose wisely. It seems like it maybe not so much a marathon, but a race, because you get going. You got 9 district games with Barb. You got Union Parish coming up. But with a district that deep and that busy, starting it so early, what's that competition like for you and your team?
It's fun, man, but it can be grueling. People, and when we did the schedule, I did it with the thought process. We need to do it against teams that can get us ready for 1-5A. And Barb did a good job of running the ball and maybe, running a little zone read and throwing it around, and the quarterback could scramble, and Union Parish is just going to line up and try to just take our soul from us. So we wanted to get some teams that would prepare us for, the gauntlet of Huntington, and, Huntington and Bird and all of them are just going to line up and run it at you. And Benton and all of them their quarterback's going to run around. So we tried to get it to complement, the teams that we were playing. But to answer your question, man, it's miserable, because there's no gimmies on the schedule. There's no week where we can relax. So, I mean, it's just, you have to be prepared every week. And, you can coach speak all you want and say, oh, it's fun and all that stuff. But, I miss the days of just maybe having 2 gimme games.
Well, Coach, look, we appreciate you taking up your time. Congratulations on the win. Always fun to talk with, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you later in the season.
Enjoy those canes.
Yeah, get that cane.
Yep. Hope you get 10 dinners from canes.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
There you go. It's Justin Scoggin from Airline. The Vikings in that 1-5A. That's
they are so impressive throwing the football.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting, when he says philosophy, I mean, he's 100% right, but that philosophy would make me.
How many times do you think that defensive coordinator looks down at him and say, "Would you please run the football?"
He's the head coach, so probably not much. But you wonder, like, back in the day when West Monroe started making their run, what they did was they put all the best athletes on defense.
That's
because defense
travels.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a totally different philosophy in what you think is best for your team.
We're going to talk.
He does well.
We're going to talk
team
to
gets
Coach
canes
Mastretta. We're going to talk to Coach Mastretta one day about that, about the way you put players on offense and defense, because we had a college guy come in and talk to us about it, and it's really interesting to hear different philosophies on that.
I was going to say, if the team gets canes for dinner, coaches get canes for dinner, do they give the defense some oxygen for being on the field up and down it? But you're right. We see these scores more often than not. Was it last week? There was a 62-50 something, and it's just, it looks exhausting to read it.
But I've also seen teams. I'll never forget a game down at Santa Ma. It was Santa Ma and Central, and it was a 35-14 lead in the fourth quarter, and Central kept trying to throw it and hurry up offense. No huddle, where all they had to do was run the football 3 or 4 times, eat a couple minutes off the clock, and they ended up losing the ball game that they shouldn't have lost. Should have been way over. They didn't even need first downs. All they had to do was run it to run the clock some.
Well,
and they didn't do it, and so sometimes it can come back to bite you.
100%, and that's why I feel like you have to run the football to be able to win consistently, because you need to be able to eat up clock there towards the end of the game when you need to. Yeah. And some teams just simply can't do it. But, Dusty, to answer your question, you're getting peanut butter and jelly if we win Wednesday. I got a text and wanted to know if we were going to get canes if we win. I said, no, peanut butter and jelly will do, right?
Crunchy?
There you go. That's right.
Huh?
Crunchy peanut butter? Or?
No.
Okay.
But, fresh bread to where it almost tears when you put the peanut butter on it.
There you go.
How good is that?
That's good. That's pretty good. That's better than Uncrustables, I can tell you that. We'll take a timeout. We'll be right back. It's the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Do you think you have COVID-19?
I'm worried I may have COVID.
We're open 7 days a week for both rapid COVID and antibody testing. Life is busy. You don't have time. Get your results fast at Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Don't have time for a new rash?
I don't have time for this.
We're here to help with convenient virtual visits on your computer or any mobile device. If you don't have time to be sick, feel better faster with Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Covering prep football from West Monroe to West Side. The Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show with Cade, Todd, and Jimmy. Presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of the Lake Urgent Care Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show. We are on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We are also on YourView. We appreciate everyone tuning in this week. Hope everyone is safe and sound. I know our friends down on the Bayou and in the New Orleans area and parts around the southeast portion of our state are still slowly getting things back in order. Still some without power. So we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. We are efforting the Game of the Week coach, David Semino from Central, and trying to get him on here in this segment as they get the big win over Denham Springs in the annual rivalry, 31-6. Huge trophy they have now.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Skip sent me a picture of it. I took a glance at it. I didn't get to see it. Yeah, it looked nice.
It's on rollers. I don't think you can.
I wonder if Steve Davis is still stuck in the parking lot. People don't know how to park out there.
It was a bit of it wasn't easy getting out, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I remember one time you were blocked in at U-High and you had a few choice words for the guy that blocked you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost got blocked into Central a couple of years ago too. They decided to start parking 3 deep. I happened to be the middle one.
That's not good.
No.
And they didn't know that a Central legend was being blocked in.
They did not, obviously. Dutchtown with a big win tonight over Ponchatoula, 31-13. Ponchatoula had lost to Walker last week. Dutchtown's got a young defense, very potent offense. LaKedron, Harvey is out for a couple weeks, but the defense is really picking up. Coach Harrell does a good job. Coach Janice did a good job with the offense. EA, a big win over Salmon.
Brock Mathern's first win at EA coming over from St. Louis.
You know, you mentioned that I know the defense is probably the younger aspect of that Dutchtown Griffin team, but if I'm not mistaken, was it they gave up 17 in the first half last week and then gave up 7 in the second half, so progressively got better and really made some key stops. So I know it's not maybe the side, and the coach has a lot of seniors on that team, but they seem to be coming along pretty good and doing their part.
With East Ascension?
With Dutchtown.
I was trying to think. I think they I didn't know if they gave up. How many
I can look back at my recap.
What, last week?
Yeah.
31-6 last week.
Yeah, it was 31-6.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of something else.
But I think you might have been thinking maybe of East Ascension. That's why I said. But, and, they got Dylan Champagne and a couple good receivers, one injury with Fields, but some young guys out at receiver
Fields is out also?
Yes.
Ooh.
Dylan Champagne, quarterback.
So you're losing Harvey and Fields. That's your two main weapons, your best wide receiver, and then your district MVP is a running back who also happens to be a second place in 100 meters in the state final. So
they have a receiver, Mayo, who's had a brother. Logan was there last year. He's special, man. I'm telling you, he can go.
How about Josh Lewis? defensive end committed to Missouri. He's a
I don't think
good-looking
people are
kid.
going to run at him.
He's a good-looking kid.
I think he's a good-looking kid, and I think he's going to be able to put on some weight too. But he's got a great work ethic, great attitude, good grades. He's everything you want as a recruit. You know, he fits all the measurables, as they say. But I think that you'll see him put on some weight as he goes to college. But he'll definitely be a force. I think he's around 6'4", I would guess.
Yeah, 6'4", 255 is what they list him as. Ponchatoula is going to struggle.
He tried to pass rush Lyle and didn't have.
Oh, he did? Oh,
yeah, he thought he could go up against Lyle.
I don't think that happened.
No.
So Ponchatoula, Tim Walters over there in his first year, he was offensive coordinator for 10 years, but they're going to struggle somewhat this year. Third coach in 4 years. They lost all their backfield. Their offensive line, they lost 3 out of 4. In the secondary, they had lost 2 linebackers that signed with colleges. So it could be a rough year. Walker beat them last week 43-14. That program's went down a little bit since St. Tierney left the Shaw, and look what he's done at Shaw. He's just turned it around. There's something about him. He can win anywhere.
You know, looking ahead to some games on Saturday, a game that is involving a Baton Rouge area team, Zachary taking on Acadiana. Acadiana had a tough loss last week with the defending state champion in Ruston, and Zachary coming into this game, I believe it was a win over Plaquemine last week. And, you know, a team that is a little bit different, but we know you take some time. You got Coach Brew there. This team is always going to be prepared. The Gonzalez kid at quarterback now, you know, under center, and he's the true starter there. Interesting for a road trip going up against Acadiana.
I talked to Coach Brew Thursday, I believe it was. So I asked him about getting their game moved to Tuesday, and what he told me was to Saturday. On Tuesday, they talked. They started talking, and they were both going to lose the practice time that Todd mentioned, and so they both want an extra day, especially Zachary having to face that veer. Now, I can promise you this. It's not the first time. This is not the first week that Zachary's defense has saw Acadiana's veer offense. You can bet you they looked at it in the spring. You can bet you they looked at it in the summer. You can bet you they looked at it at boot camp. That's just what they're going to do. But they still needed that extra day for practice, and I thought both coaches agreed to it. They did this on Tuesday. Good call by both coaches. I think even though Acadiana lost to Ruston, I think that Ruston is the best team in the state right now until somebody can beat them. I think Carr and Acadiana are the next two in whatever order you want to put them into. This is a huge test for Zachary. Zachary's young on defense. Their linebackers and defensive front are going to be tested. Acadiana's super fast. Their DBs, Acadiana can throw it well enough with the Diabetta kid. He's a 3-year starter. He can throw it well enough that their eyes are going to have to stay on their receivers and not in the backfield because Acadiana will hit you with a deep one quick.
And a lot of times the reason that is because that safety has to come downhill and be able to help on the option, on the veer. And if the one thing, you know, Scott Dietrich always said about a kid that played for us, Burt White, has said we couldn't throw it over his head. They would try the dive, and then they'd try to throw it over his head, and he was just too good. But that's what Jimmy's talking about. They can expose that safety because the safety has to come downhill to help. And once he does that, they're going to try to go over his head. But what I like about this game, Jimmy, and you'll remember this, even when Neil Weiner was at Zachary years ago, you remember they'd get to the quarterfinals and Zachary would struggle with Acadiana.
Always that, yeah.
And then it kind of got closer. And then when Zachary started to get that state championship mentality, it was going through Acadiana. You remember the Fog game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that they won there. So there's a lot of history, I think pretty cool history as far as these two schools are concerned when you go back over the years, especially since like 2010, 2012.
Yeah, they've played several times.
And when you consider how highly you think of Ruston, Acadiana was in that ball game and had a chance to win that ball game. So right up there, if they're not number one, they're 1A, or they're a solid 2 in this state in a group that's, you know, I think really going to make some noise.
They played in the state championship last year. They got 18 starters back.
Yeah.
And same thing with Carr. Carr's returning 18 starters. They were loaded last year. They got upset by Acadiana. I think it was an upset. But so, yeah, I think those two, and then Ruston, and then right below it, I thought Catholic High may have a little bit of a down year, but they got to be talked about. St. Thomas More took a step back a little bit tonight, I thought, in my opinion. And they struggled last week with Karen Crow. They were up 21-0 against Karen Crow, ends up 21-20, and Karen Crow has to goes for 2 to win it instead of kicking it to tie it, and St. Thomas More got the win. So now they're starting a young quarterback also, first-year starter. But we'll see.
We'll take a timeout. We'll be right back to wrap up hour number 1 on this week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. We are presented by Lake Urgent Care, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and Your View.
Don't have time for a stomach virus?
I don't have time to be sick today.
When you're sick after hours or weekends, you don't have time to wait around. Save time and money and feel better faster with Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Now back to the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show with Cade, Todd, and Jimmy. Presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. The Capital City Scoreboard, presented by Investar Bank.
Dunham over Live Oak tonight, 27-10. It was Central over Denham Springs, 31-6. Parkview Baptist 53, Prairieville 13, Walker 34, Woodlawn 14, Episcopal over North Lake Christian 31-16, Liberty over White Castle 72-26, Estruma over McKinley 38-6, and St. Michael over Terra 46-0.
The Prairieville game, just for a little bit, the biggest difference right now is they're just so young and they're just not as strong as the teams that they play, and that's where Parkview really had an advantage over them. But, you know, they played strong, they didn't give up, and as a coach, that's what you want in a young team.
Yeah, they are going to make their way through a tough district, but it will be a very exciting first season for that team. The Hurricanes, oddly enough, right? So we'll be right back. Hour 2 of the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard coming your way next.
At Louisiana Turf Cleaning, our number one priority is athlete safety. We specialize in sanitizing and general cleaning maintenance of artificial turf sports fields. From the constant wear and tear on the field to the bacteria, mold, and viruses that get under those turf fibers, we take care of it all. We also remove any unseen metal in the turf that could potentially cut an athlete. For more information, call me, Kerry Myers, to get a quote today, 504-453-6950. And let Louisiana Turf Cleaning keep your playing surface safe, 504-453-6950.
Don't have time for cold or flu?
I don't have time for the cold or the flu.
We're here to help with easy, convenient online check-in, virtual visits, or walk-in care. When you don't have time to be sick, feel better faster at Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show, presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. From the Jamborees to the Superdome, your source for the most up-to-date scores and stats is right here. Now, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, here's Cade Wazan, Todd Black, and Jimmy Roy.
Hour 2 in the Week 2 edition of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show, presented by Lake Urgent Care. Cade Wazan, Todd Black, and Jimmy Roy, as we've got our cast of thousands here. Skip, Cassie, and Ryan, and you tuning in, whether it's on the Bayou Ford YouTube chat on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel, or if you're following us on X at Louisiana Prep. If you are certainly watching on YourView, we appreciate you tuning in this evening as well. Our game of the week tonight featured the rivalry that I believe will now become an annual event. It took a little break, but they've played over, 75-something times. It's pretty even, but tonight's score fairly one-sided. Central hosting Denham Springs tonight. Our State Farm Student Athletes of the Week coming to you from that ball game, and we can pull up this graphic here from the Central Wildcats, tackle John Cummings, and from the Yellow Jackets, quarterback Jerry Horn, our Student Athletes of the Week. We appreciate our partnership with State Farm, and these fine young men were selected by their coaches, both Coach Semino and Coach Beard.
Yeah, the Simmons kid from Central, or John Cummings, talking with David Semino this week, the thing that he brought up, his GPA now is a 3.0. He said he really slacked off in his first 2 years of high school and didn't take it serious, and then the last couple years he's been able to bring it up, and he was so proud of his progress more than anything, not his GPA, but 3.0 is nothing wrong with that at all, but just the progress that he's made. He said Central's went in and has hired 2 full-time academic coaches for their athletes, and he said they've made a ton of difference in their program, and he's just everything that you want. Jerry Horn on the other side for Denham Springs, he made his first start as a freshman in the playoff game at Central. That after Central had blew Denham Springs out earlier in the year, he comes back and he gets the win in a playoff game in a blowout win. Been a 4-year starter, part-time, split some time with Reese Mooney, who was a 3-year, who's a 3-star guy. So I think he ended up signing with Liberty or somewhere like that. But Jerry Horn in his 4th year, he can make every throw. He's impressive. He took some licks tonight.
Yeah,
he took some licks tonight, but he's a good one for them. So congratulations to John Cummings and Jerry Horn.
So as far as the ball game is concerned, this one was a game that was, from the first half that we saw, Denham Springs struggled to get past midfield. Central had opportunities where this game could have been an even wider margin at halftime, hurt themselves with some penalties. But when they started clicking, the Furman, young man, Furman, the quarterback, had some nice touch on a couple of passes. They had a pass to one of their wide receivers who just willed himself to the end zone. They had some impressive plays.
The wide receiver that you mentioned was Colin Thomas, the young man who was involved in the wreck earlier in the year, or last week, 2 weeks ago now. And so it was a really impressive run. The story of this one, Cade, to me, you mentioned field position for Central. Listen to these starting field positions. Plus 21, plus 17, plus 31, plus 49, plus 45, plus 48, plus 47, and then minus 19. So everything in the first half was played on Central's end of the field. Denham Springs started at the minus 20, minus 20, minus 20, minus 20, minus 20, minus 10, minus 20, minus 7. Denham Springs took 2 snaps on the plus side of the 50-yard line in the first half. Anthony Camp did a phenomenal job with the defense. Denham Springs had no answer for it at all. I did think that Central left some points on the board early.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could have been worse than what it was. Yes, it could have, because they didn't get anything. They got 3 points when they started on the 21. Their next possession, they started on the 17. They went backwards. They had a personal foul. They had a hold. Central's offensive line is going to have to improve. Then, you throw a bubble route from the 48 and made it turned into the long touchdown run. They did hit one deep ball that was a really good throw by Furman. The other one, the first one was a corner route, and the receiver went up and got it, made a heck of a throw. Central's, even though they put up 31, I can promise you Coach Semino's happy, but he's not satisfied with the offense right now.
So everything we heard about their defense, I think was true. We saw them bat down passes. We saw them pick off some passes. But to Denham Springs' point offensively, it seemed like, and you noticed this more so, that they were throwing some short passes on the early downs and really could have gotten themselves in a rhythm, and then would get out of that on second or third down, where just trying to get some kind of rhythm and never could really establish that. There was a couple of passes that maybe the quarterback, wide receiver, not on the same page and stuff like that. So, there were opportunities where you thought, okay, you can complete some of these passes. You can get your quarterback in a good rhythm and get down the field, and then they would kind of get away from that, and it didn't seem to ever really materialize into a long, sustaining drive.
They were able to hit some quick routes to the outside early in the game, and like I said, and Todd knows this very well, as offensive coordinator, it's hard to be patient sometimes and just take that 4 to 7 yard route that they're giving you and take it all the way down the field. You just get anxious and try something different, and sometimes it don't work. But, Denham Springs will be okay. Central, like I said, defensively, the cornerback number 10, I don't have his name, was phenomenal. Their kicker was phenomenal.
Tim was the one behind getting punt returns,
He
too,
was
right?
also
Yeah.
returning punt returns. He's going to be special. I don't know what class he is. The kicker was putting it in or out of the end zone, forcing Denham Springs to start at their 20. The return game for Central, like you said, on the punt was phenomenal. DK and KD Mays lived up to being advertised. Number 21 was pretty good. He's a sophomore, and that's the one that Coach thinks. Coach Semino talking to him early in the week. His name's Marvin Joseph. He thinks he has SEC potential down the road. So, but complete win by Central tonight, especially in the first half from what we saw. Good news is, really and truly, was that Furman got to play tonight. Thomas got to play, and then we saw Manny Williams. He's been released from the hospital. Arm was in a sling, walking on the sideline tonight, talking with Frank Facina and Coach Hutchinson over there, and they were saying, man, they're just lucky to be alive and be walking around right now. So
get out a smile on his face, seemed like
to
be in good spirits. That's a tough situation to go through for a parent, for a coach. I remember we were on a text amongst each other that night and trying to figure that out. And, you look back a week later and you're grateful that you got that kid, right there. And it's crazy to think. I didn't realize number 80 was that one. That was a heck of a run. He must have broken 3 or 4 tackles on his way to the end zone. 16.
They got some players.
Yeah.
They have some players.
Fun night out there on the campus of Central High School,
except for the parking.
Yeah, could have done better. That will not make the helmet stickers this week, I don't think. As we continue on this week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, there's a lot of games that are going to be played on Saturday. We'll get to a couple of those in just a bit. We mentioned Zachary and Acadiana. U-High and Rummel is another game that's going to be played on Saturday. This is the second straight week that U-High has had to play a game on a non-traditional day. Last week, they come away with a 3-0 victory over Woodlawn, which, honestly, when I read that score, kind of surprised me a little bit.
Surprised me.
So we'll see a lot. I think there's a lot to say about, look, we talked about the hurricane coming through this week, but it was less than ideal conditions on some of those fields last week. We watched the Catholic High game with sheets of rain against Destrehan. I'm not trying to make excuses for what teams play, but it certainly was a mess. And so now you go through a week where you've had to adjust schedules, and at least on Friday, tonight, and tomorrow, you're going to be playing somewhat of a normal condition ball game.
Here's what happened, and this happened same thing last week with U-High. The game was originally scheduled for here.
Mm-hmm.
Then they moved it, thinking the storm's coming here. They moved it down to New Orleans to play Rummel at Yenny Stadium, I believe it was.
Yes.
Then they got hit harder than we got hit here. Well, then they had to see if the field's going to dry, and then you got to get your transportation line back up. So then they moved it here. That was not decided until yesterday afternoon.
Right, because there were reports it was either a Friday or Saturday. Yeah.
Yes, they finally decided yesterday afternoon that it would be here. So yeah, but what's a bad thing is not only do they play Rummel, which is a really good team this year, it gives you a short week going into next week against Catholic High.
Yeah,
but overall, coaches here we always had great weather, even though it was hot for a long time.
Weather was nice tonight.
It was great.
Can't complain
about that. But then you've had 2 weeks where it's been chaos already this early in the season. Hopefully it settles down.
That's normal.
Smooth. Yeah,
pretty normal. It's either thunderstorms or something like that. Hit that video from we got from the Winfield media department, and we can talk a little bit about.
Ms. Griffith sent that to you?
Actually, she shared one of my posts last week.
Oh,
all right.
Yep. Sometimes maybe forgiveness isn't a bad thing. But the thing is, this is from the Winfield media department, and again, what we try to do is there's media departments all around the state who have a lot to do with the football program. The football program goes way beyond the football field, and these are kids, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get his name real quick. His name is Ryan Riley from Winfield, and they're part of the media department up there. This is them in Jonesboro Hodge, I believe. But they did a good job here, and we just want to try to bring as much attention to all the students, not just the student athletes, but all the students that help with getting high school football off the ground. And look, from a coach's perspective, the video, I can't tell you how important guys that do the video for us are. I mean, the video don't lie. There's somebody said, Mom lies, Daddy lies, but Huddle don't. And Huddle is the video. And but they do a great job with it, and we just want to give a shout out to anybody who has a media department that would like to send it our way. We'll definitely put you up there, and these are part of some of the North Louisiana scores as we discussed Neville, we discussed Airline, and there's some other big scores. Alexandria was a big winner over Union Parish, but there again, Union Parish isn't scared to schedule big games. They're going to play Airline in
next
another
week. Yeah.
Yep. So, I think Pulaski Academy won 67-47 over West Monroe.
They throw it a lot. They were averaging 500 yards a game, 400 passing.
Obviously, they have a similar philosophy.
And they got a 6'4" quarterback. And that was one of the interesting things that people were talking about was West Monroe. They knew they weren't going to be able to cover them, but were they going to be able to run the football enough to keep them on the bench so they couldn't score? And that's pretty impressive.
Franklin Parish had a big win last week over West Jefferson. They also had a pretty big win over St. Frederick, 42-21. I'll be interested to watch them as they move forward. They finally got Neville out of their district. So, but Bastrop, they had two big transfers. The Downs brothers, you mentioned.
The quarterback, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They've been playing. They lost them from Sterlington, but moved up to Bastrop. Been playing well. Wassman loses. They're 0-2. They lost to Ouachita 25-0.
After a great year last year, you wanted to see if they could kind of sustain that.
Yeah. But what's interesting? Glenbrook, Bossier beat them 28-9 tonight. So Glenbrook, when Coach Feaster left, has really.
There for a little bit, they had one of the better baseball teams and football teams in the state. I don't know if it was just a special group that went there at that time. It's hard to maintain sometimes. Once you build it, they'll always tell you it's harder to maintain it than it is to build it. So, see, West Side, people texting me about that.
Were they in a delay? Did they have to move?
No,
cancel,
they actually played tonight.
Reschedule?
West Side 38. They played Westview 21. So 38-21 West Side. And Westview was the green wave also.
That's a good point, Coach. We would love to highlight your team's highlights. You got a media department at your school. You're putting together work. We saw out there, I know every time we've caught Denham Springs football game. They got the Denham Springs TV folks out there doing the work of getting video and highlight reels. You can contact us via the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard page on Facebook.
Yep.
And we would love to feature highlights. It could be from last week. You could have some from the game from tonight, but we would love to highlight and feature the work that you do. You are certainly a part of Friday. You know, we talked about this at our kind of on the sidelines. You know, you see some of these schools where they have a full band, a full squad of cheerleaders and stuff like that. These are the things that add to the atmosphere and make a Friday night great. And so we'd love to highlight those. And you can send your videos to our Facebook page that is on that's Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Facebook page.
Just want to give you a little heads up. You know, I talked about Investor Bank last week and Starlet Checking and how that's for kids that are in high school from 14 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
Broxton bounced the check.
Well, not yet. But we went shopping today for his homecoming.
Uh-oh.
We had some money in there. And let's just say he had around $500 in his account. Let's just say it wasn't enough for the dead gum clothes at how much they cost. Right, he had to get shoes, shirt, a tie. And wait, hold on now. You get stuff for the pictures, then you get something for the after party. So you don't go in one thing. You change into shorts.
Yeah, he got a pair of gym shorts he could wear at the party. And his date's got all this stuff lined out for him to wear. Oh, man.
And I'm like, bro, so get ready, Cade.
This is exhausting.
He's got a girl. He has a girl.
And she's going to be the one. Imagine what his daughter, you need to wear this, and this.
Goodness.
But, hey, as a dad, I want the dude to look sharp on his first homecoming date, you know? But it was $500 plus. But Investor Bank, Starlet Checking.
That's where it starts, right?
That's where it starts. Man. It's expensive, Cade.
That's what it seems like.
Jimmy's got grandchildren.
Yeah. I'm done paying.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I thought.
For Hurricane Francine cleanup needs, call Jimmy Roy. We'll give out that number later. We'll take a time out. This is week 2 of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge in your view.
Don't have time for a cold? A cut? Those allergies? Or a sprain?
I really don't have time for this.
Lake Urgent Care is here to help with easy, convenient online check-in, virtual visits, or walk-in care. Plus, we're kid-friendly and open 7 days a week, including holidays and weekends. When you don't have the time to be sick or hurt, feel better faster at Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Mahaffey from Walker High School, and you're listening to Louisiana Prep Scoreboard with Kay, Todd, and Jimmy on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care. A reminder that we will have our helmet stickers coming up in about 20 minutes or so from right now, highlighting some of the best performances from Week 2. Let's get you caught up on scores, and we'll start first in the capital city.
The Capital City Scoreboard, presented by Investar Bank.
Dunham over Live Oak 27-10. Central defeats Denham Springs 31-6. Parkview 53, Prairieville 13. Walker a 34-14 winner over Woodlawn. Episcopal defeats Northlake Christian 31-16. Liberty all over White Castle 72-26. Struma defeats McKinley 38-6. And St. Michael shuts out Terra 46-0.
The New Orleans Bayou Scoreboard, pumped by peak performance.
John F. Kennedy defeats Warren Easton 36-26. Belle Chase defeats East Jefferson 24-17. And these New Orleans schools their games have been moved to Saturday. West Jefferson and Shaw, De La Salle Holy Cross, Westminster Christian and St. Martin, Jesuit D.D. White, St. Aug Cecilia, and John Ehret Vanderbilt Catholic.
The Acadiana Scoreboard, connected by Rev.
Sulphur defeats Northside 34-19. Lafayette Christian 38, Carencro 21. Carlings Catholic defeats Sam Houston 48-21. Catholic High defeats St. Thomas More 18-14. Vermilion Catholic shuts out Breaux Bridge 45-0. Welsh over Oakdale 42-13. Notre Dame Blanksville Platte 51-0. And Marksville 30, Church Point 22.
The North and Central Louisiana Scoreboard, fueled by Frogs at Magnolia Beach.
Neville over Calvary 42-38. Ouachita blanks Wassman 25-0. Oak Grove over Crossett 57-18. Alexandria defeats Union Parish 41-12. Ruston over Cabot High School in Arkansas 49-10. Mendon defeats Homer 39-14. Mangum over Richwood 28-0. And Ouachita Christian blanks General Trask 51-0.
The North Shore Scoreboard, insured by State Farm.
Dutchtown over Ponchatoula 31-13. East Ascension over Solomon 38-15. Mandeville over Madison Prep 52-43. Covington over Franklinton 32-21. Pine and Independence will play Saturday morning at 11. John Curtis 27, North Shore 7. Hammond over Amite 33-16. And Joel Sumner 20, Kentwood 14.
Thank you, Skip. As we continue to roll through this week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care. Appreciate our audiences on Your View and the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We always appreciate our partnership with the team at Your View. The game tonight they had to feature was Calvary Baptist and Neville. Tomorrow night on Your View, Acadiana and Zachary. So real good games back-to-back on Your View.
We're making every effort we can to get in touch with Mike Collins. We've talked with Stephen Insminger there. Between Shreveport and Neville, may have some spotty cell service, but we were trying
we ain't that low class up there. We got cell service in North Louisiana. Come on, bro.
Just saying. We're having a hard time getting in touch with him.
After a game like that, bro, I'm sure he's hydrating.
He may be.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
You got to put the cell towers on above those big pines they got in the 318. Interesting talking about the matchup earlier today.
Real quick, I want to correct something. I said Winfield over Jonesboro. That was Winfield over Caldwell. I'm sorry, 22-7 that we were seeing the highlights of. I made a mistake. Imagine that.
You made a mistake.
It's one of the few that I regret.
Earlier today, I was on the preview show talking with Jake Martin about Ouachita Parish and Wassman, and both these coaches schedule tough games outside of their district. Young man at quarterback, Montrell Connor from Ouachita Parish, although they were kind of plagued last week by a lot of bad snaps, a couple of penalties and stuff here and there, the young man really played well. It'd be interesting to see how he progresses through the season. And on the other side for Coach Cahey, was a coach that had a nice comment, just really motivated to see how his guys are going to respond. You don't like to see your team lose, but this was an opportunity where, okay, guys, we lost one here, close one. Both teams lost close games last week. Opelousas lost to Captain Shreve 29-27. Wassman loses to Bastrop 16-8. Close games. How do you respond? And interesting to see those two teams. One of those two teams are going to get their first win tonight.
Yeah, and Thursday night, go up north. Huntington defeated Captain Shreve 46-35. Remember, Captain Shreve went through that 1A district last year undefeated. It was a 1-5A opener for both teams. Captain Shreve had a couple turnovers, and that kind of proved to be the difference in the game. Huntington rushed for 416 yards and had 621 yards of total offense. You rush for 416, odds are you're going to win. Two running backs, Cameron Davis, he had 148.
And if you give up 416 yards rushing, you're going to lose.
But they were in the ball game, if it wasn't for the turnovers. Mm-hmm. Cameron Davis had 148 yards on 18 carries. Niles Hullaby had 17 carries for 184. Landon Gibbs passed for 205. Jamarian Washington had 7 catches for 119 yards. Captain Shreve was able to move the football. Their quarterback, Brody Savage, passed for 233. In the other game up there, poor Southwood, they extended their losing streak. It hits 38 games now. They lost to single-A Arcadia 14-7. I thought that might be a chance to get their win.
It was.
Yeah. So that's up north last night.
On the North Shore front, looking through some of the games that are coming up, they seem to be the team that or the group that probably fared as well as they could with games that they got to be played. I know there was a lot of mix between the Baton Rouge area and that 6-5A district. We saw Dutchtown get the win over Ponchatoula. Madison Prep and Mandeville. That was a pretty high-scoring game.
That one kind of surprised me. It ended up 52-43 Mandeville. Madison Prep, and the reason I say it surprised me, they scored 6 points last week against Dutchtown. In the Jamboree, we saw them. They didn't score anything. I think it was 23-0.
Yeah.
They had no identity as to who they were on offense. Even though they got a 3-year starter at quarterback in Tylen Johnson, they just didn't know who they were. They couldn't throw it. They couldn't run it. They couldn't make up which way to go with it. But for them to go out and put up 43 against Mandeville, maybe they're getting their act together there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mandeville, on the other hand, you remember they made that deep run late in the playoffs, and Nate Shepard, he was so good last year in the playoffs, so good. And he picked up just where he left off last week. Last year he rushed for 150 in the first game. I know he had at least 6 touchdowns tonight. I don't know his stat total rushing-wise, but he's just a threat every time they touch the football. I did see where Mandeville had threw a couple touchdown passes. Last week, they did not complete a pass in the game. 0 yards passing. So
yeah, I think that score did stand out by seeing Madison Prep seemingly taking a huge leap forward offensively, considering where they were. Hammond, a team that nearly got a win last week against Denham Springs, comes up and beats a meet. And then a game tomorrow that I'll take a flyer on, kind of interesting. St. Paul's and Brother Martin.
That's going to be interesting to see.
Yep, and I like kind of St. Paul's in that one. But, Hammond's playing without a quarterback right now. So they competed real well with Denham Springs.
Mm-hmm.
So that district over there, Covington beat Franklinton tonight. But that district over there is always one we scratch our heads about because we don't know if they're really that good or they're really that bad. But they always beat each other up, seeming like when they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and as you can see through the non-conference, they're playing strong teams from the Baton Rouge area, nothing weak in the non-district, and they're going to get into district play not too long from now, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Well, the North Shore played John Curtis tonight and losing 27-7.
Yep. We'll continue on and take another break here as this is week 2 of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. We appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. And, of course, our friends at Lake Urgent Care. This is Louisiana Prep Scoreboard on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge in your view.
Mom, what's for breakfast?
Don't have time for a cold? A cut? Those allergies? Or a sprain?
I really don't have time for this.
Lake Urgent Care is here to help with easy, convenient online check-in, virtual visits, or walk-in care. Plus, we're kid-friendly and open 7 days a week, including holidays and weekends. When you don't have the time to be sick or hurt, feel better faster at Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Making the bus ride back home better since 2011. The Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show with Cade, Todd, and Jimmy. Presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care. Cade Wazan, Todd Black, and Jimmy Roy. We jump back on the hotline, and we join now a victorious head coach, Mike Collins, from the Neville Tigers. They get a win over Calvary Baptist this evening. Coach, congratulations on the win. Thanks so much for a couple minutes with us tonight.
Man, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it. It was a great win for us, and, it's one of those barn burners, who had the ball last or who could get the last stop. We were able to get the last stop, the last score, so.
Coach, I'm going to just tell you now, Todd Black is a Neville legend up there, so he's going to be a homer when he talks to you about it. He holds the Neville. He does hold the Neville record for most handoffs in a season.
That's a fact, Coach.
I know it.
Coach, man, you go over there. You've played now Evangel and Calvary, two of the top quarterbacks in North Louisiana. There's a bunch of good quarterbacks in North Louisiana, but playing against the Pop Houston kid and Abram Wardell, it has to say a lot about your defensive backs. And you got 3 all-parish guys coming back. You have Cam Riley committed to UL, Julian Burns, and one that I've heard people mention about that they just love to watch play football is just they explain him as a football player is Robert Graves.
He is. He is the best football player on defense that we have. He's our best football player on our team. I mean, the guy's a mighty Mike. He's 5'7" at best, about 155 pounds. But I'm talking about he comes to play every day, and he just makes play after play after play, and he always comes up big. And can't say enough good things about him and the way he's playing.
Coach, what has it been that you've really that your team, that you've been really proud of your team that has stuck out to you in the first 2 games? As Jimmy mentioned, 2 very good teams. They've handled adversity tonight really well. And just to be honest, the switch of opponent at such a last moment is a big plus for your team too. But what is it that sticks out to you?
Well, I think the things that we talk about, we want to win the takeaway and turnover margin, and we didn't do a great job with that tonight. But in the end, one of the other things that we preach on is we want to win the fourth quarter. I don't care if we're up by 40, we're getting our tail beat, or it's the ball game like it was tonight. We want to win the fourth quarter, and that's what I thought our kids did. Came in, scored twice in the fourth quarter. The drive in the third quarter ended up being in the fourth quarter, and then then we hit Marion Roberson on the pass out there. Then we played defense, and so we want to win the fourth quarter. The adversity that we went through, different types of adversity tonight. But I think the one thing to say about our kids, and it's kind of our motto, we got it on our shirt, is TPW, and that's tough people win. And we feel like that's, we're going to win the fourth quarter. We got to be tough. And, we were able to do that. I thought our offensive line controlled their defensive line, and we just stuck it up in there, and we ran it, and we ran it, and we ran it, and we ran it some more, and then, we got that last stop there, which was huge, and our kids, really really bowed up and did a great job in that last drive.
Coach, first off, before I forget, hats off to you, Coach Goulin, administration at Neville and Calvary for putting this game together. You both could have ended up with a bye. Tell us a little bit about how this game came about and when it did.
Well, I talked to Coach Curtis on Monday. I called Coach Curtis on Monday just to kind of see and try to get a formulated plan and, try to see if they wanted to swap the game to our place this year, and then we'd go down there next year. I think he was going to visit with his administration and his athletic director. And so later on Monday afternoon, Coach Goulin called and said, "Hey, Mike," he said, "Westgate dropped us. They're not going to play us." So I said, "Well, I'm going to wait here for Coach Curtis. Coach Curtis is supposed to get back with me in the morning, Tuesday morning." And I said, "I'll call you when we get through." And so anyway, I think Rodney had tried to call a couple other people, and they just were a flat no for him. And I wasn't going to go without playing a game. I didn't give it that gum. I don't care who it is, And so I called him. Coach Curtis called me about 10 o'clock Tuesday morning and said they couldn't do it. And I said, so I immediately called Rodney and I said, "Hey, man, let's get this thing on." And then we bartered back and forth about, where we were going to play. And he had originally had it set for a home game. And I said, "Okay." He said, "Oh, we'll make it worth your while." I said, "Well, we can get on the school bus, and he has to charter everywhere he goes." So we just kind of worked out a little deal there and said, "Hey, let's get this thing on." And so that's how it worked.
Well, thank you for playing it.
They were talking a little bit. I was listening to Stuart Shelby and then broadcast your game, and they were talking about the grass, the turf there is maybe an inch. I had to laugh to myself and said, if Coach Brown had to have, if he had to have turf, that turf would have been 6 inches thick. He always looked.
He wanted the grass high.
He wanted the grass high. I'll tell you what.
Goodness. Good effort. Look, we went down and played at LaSalle, JV and freshman game. We played Ash. We met halfway at LaSalle, and I told somebody, because I got a chance I student talk for Coach Brown. So, and then, of course, I went to Ouachita with Coach Val, and we played Coach Brown and, had great respect for what they did, and we tried to pattern ourselves after them. But anyway, long story short, we went down to the saw and that grass was up to my ankles. I said, "Well, here's Coach Brown. He's at his best right now."
Look, we had Coach Valerie on a couple of years ago, and I told Jimmy and them how much, because he coached me when I was a JV at Neville. And I told him how great of a coach he was. And when we got off the phone, Jimmy looked at me and Cade and said, "That dude's entertaining." I said, "I tell you what, he's something else, but you can tell why he wins because his players love him." So you've had some good influences around you, not only your dad, but as well as some high school coaches as well.
Well, we have, and, just been very fortunate, very fortunate to have the opportunity to be the head football coach at Neville. I mean, with the great tradition that is just there and the great tradition that's in the community, and then me having that opportunity to lead, guide these guys, is a tremendous honor for me as well.
Well, they told me number 12 was retired, and I'd be damned, I saw somebody wearing number 12 tonight.
Yeah. Well, we got it retired. We just used it.
Hey, I appreciate it, Coach. We really, I know y'all got to have a safe trip back to Monroe.
Yeah, and we will be in touch later down the season.
Yeah, you bet, man. Thank y'all for having me, and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Head coach from Neville, Coach Mike Collins, and getting that game in so important when you consider down the road. This is a year where Neville is in this 2-5A district, and they don't have that Week 10 bye anymore. So, which I think, maybe that's probably pretty beneficial to them, not going that far into the postseason without having to play a real game, but getting in a game. As Coach said, we'll play. We just want to play. And I think that's really important, even though we're only talking about Week 2, for later in the season.
I think that's hurt Neville because not only that, then you get a bye in the first round. Well, now you're going 3 weeks without
Yeah.
playing a game. So I think playing week 10 was smart on them. But
Jimmy, I mentioned who his dad, Mike Collins' dad, who was at Northeast.
Pat?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't realize that was his dad.
And
Okay.
I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I'm pretty sure. But that's
okay
how it goes all the way down. If I'm wrong, I'm going to look it up. But I'm pretty certain because we talked about it. But he won a national championship at ULM with, I think, Bubby Brister, Stan
That's right.
Humphreys,
That's
those
correct.
guys. There's some good quarterbacks there.
They've had some good quarterbacks. He used to be a really good program back in the day.
Yep.
And, but, okay, them playing this game, it automatically jumped up along with, I think, Catholic High and St. Thomas More as the two best games in the state this week.
When we get back, we will honor some of the better performers from tonight with our helmet stickers and give you one more round of scores. This is the Week 2 edition of Louisiana Prep Scoreboard, presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Your View.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Don't have time for a new rash?
I don't have time for this.
We're here to help with convenient virtual visits on your computer or any mobile device. If you don't have time to be sick, feel better faster with Lake Urgent Care and Lake After Hours.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event.
And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Louisiana Turf Cleaning, our number one priority is athlete safety. We specialize in sanitizing and general cleaning maintenance of artificial turf.
Now back to the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show with Cade, Todd, and Jimmy. Presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. The Capital City Scoreboard, presented by Investar Bank.
Dunham over Live Oak 27-10. Central defeats Denham Springs 31-6. Parkview a 53-13 win over Prairieville. Walker over Woodlawn 34-14. Episcopal 31-16 win over Northlake Christian. Liberty all over White Castle 72-26. Struma over McKinley 38-6. St. Michael's shuts out Tara 46-0.
The New Orleans Bayou Scoreboard, pumped by peak performance.
John F. Kennedy defeats Warren Easton 36-26. Bell Chase over East Jefferson 24-17. These next games played on Saturday: West Jeff and Shaw, De La Salle Holy Cross, Westminster Christian and St. Martin's, Jesuit and Edie White, St. Aug and Cecilia, and John Ehret and Vanderbilt Catholic.
The Acadiana Scoreboard, connected by Rev.
Sulphur over Northside 34-19. Lafayette Christian defeats Carencro 38-21. Sterling's Catholic over Sam Houston 48-21. Catholic High defeats St. Thomas More 18-14. Vermilion Catholic 45, Breaux Bridge 0. Welsh 42-13 winner over Oakdale. Notre Dame blanks Ville Platte 51-0. And Church Point over Marksville 22-20.
The North and Central Louisiana Scoreboard, fueled by frogs at Magnolia Beach.
Neville over Calvary 42-38. Ouachita shuts out Wassman 25-0. Oak Grove over Crossett 57-18. Alexandria defeats Union Parish 41-12. Ruston is a 49-10 winner over Cabot High School in Arkansas. Mendon is a 39-14 winner over Homer. Mangum blanks Richwood 28-0, and Ouachita Christian shuts out General Trask 51-0.
The North Shore Scoreboard, insured by State Farm.
Dutchtown is a 31-13 winner over Ponchatoula. East Ascension gets over Salmon 38-15. Mandeville 52-43 winner over Madison Prep. Covington defeats Franklinton 32-21. Pine and Independence go at it on Saturday. John Curtis defeats North Shore 27-7. Hammond over Amite 33-16. And Joel Sumner over Kentwood 20-14.
Highlighting tonight's top performers. This is Helmet Stickers on the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show.
So earlier tonight, we were getting into tonight's show that, sometimes this game that we talk about every Friday night, there's bigger things to our community, more important things to our community. Todd had a great point. He mentioned the linemen. I'm going to say the linemen, not the offensive lineman, not the defensive lineman. Lineman out there gets my helmet sticker this week. Guys out on the road, working who knows what kind of hours, waiting until the conditions are safe, and then busting it to get everybody's electricity and power back up and running. Incredible job this week. Still some work to do, but that thank you can never be said enough. So I say thank you to them.
Oh, damn. I got to change mine then.
I'll go.
I go Rafat and Mi Padres.
There you go. We're going all over the place tonight. I'm going to go with Catholic High for last week beating Indian Destrans 33-game win streak regular season, and then in a 25-game overall win streak against St. Thomas More. I'm going to give one to the Central defense for allowing only 2 offensive snaps of the ball on their side of the field. And we're going to give one to the Colonel Eric Held for all the hard work he put in this week.
How about the
having
Colonels?
to juggle and make phone calls for coaches? I know the 2 hairs he had left on the top of his head, he probably pulled both of those out this week. But
True story.
We appreciate what Eric does for the LHSAA.
Yeah, I remember, when we found out about him being in that position. I thought, man, what a perfect spot for somebody like that.
We got him the job. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know.
Coach Black had his notebook and everything. Yeah.
Now, you can only get someone to interview. They got to get their own job. But also, thanks to BSN, I've just got this in.
Brand new.
Brand new.
2024.
Yep.
It's fresh.
You can see my chest.
You been working out, Coach?
Heck yeah, boy. Been doing my push-ups.
BSN Sports, the best supply network in sports. You can visit them online at bsnsports.com.
Did you do that on purpose? Best Supply Network?
Oh, no. I found it through our friends over at BSN.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's really what BSN stands for?
I believe so.
I thought you made that. I thought, dude, I really did.
You thought he nailed it.
I said, dude, you're good.
Scott ought to call me. I can give him some good marketing advice. Look, by the way, don't want to forget 8080 Bluebonnet, our friends at Brock. Each and every week, they've got that after-hours clinic. It is so cool to have just that peace of mind going into the weekend. 8080 Bluebonnet on Friday nights. I know we've missed the point where you can go, but keep that in mind on Fridays. So thanks so much to Cassie, to Ryan, to Skip, Coach Todd Black, Coach Jimmy Roy, and everyone who's tuned in tonight. We'll see you next week for Week 3 of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show. Good night.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. You can't win a championship without playing defense. Go to parrishbuilt.com and sign up for the priority emergency list and man up on this storm. Parrishbuilt.com.